Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Metaworld News. I'm actually hoping we're live because I think I've just got the wrong page open on my monitor. But anyway, we are here and we are about to do our thing. Um, Metaworld News. This is where we bring you headline news about haptic interfacing with virtual reality, virtual worlds, whatever, and a particular focus on social virtual worlds. My name is Mal Burns. That's MAL space BURNS. But as with most things on the interwebs, they squash you. So you want to find me at Twitter, you've got to go to twitter.com/Malburns, all one word, MALBURNS. Not nice, is it, really? They've done the same thing with our show because we have another feed, which is twitter.com/MetaWorld News. And again, it's all one word, unlike the show, which is two words. Go figure.
Go
Go
figure.
figure, I say. Yeah, go figure. Anyway, I'm going to see if James can connect with this one. This is where we talk about VR, AR, MR, XR, XR, MR, but at the end of the day, only
We
we
are.
are. Well, we sort of got it in unison.
Sort of got it. Sort of got it.
A bit, yeah, we were close. I mean, come on, it's virtual worlds. What do you expect? No
Right,
lag?
right.
Right. Anyway, yes. So the reason I'm giving you the Twitter address is that all the feeds, all the things I read out, but a couple are going can be found on Twitter, and a lot more besides. Because I've decided today, looking down my list, that there's no way I can cover everything. Given my tendency to cover 5 minutes on every article, there's no way I was going to cover everything in a reasonable length of time. So um, some of the stuff that I don't mention on the show is actually available there, so to speak, to click on anyway. And if you have a problem remembering our links, then that is the ideal place to go to, twitter.com/malburns, once again, because it will take you direct to the article rather than the site and do all that sort of stuff, proper hot linking. Right.
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm just trying to think. Is there anything else I haven't done? Oh, yes. These are the news headlines for
Ah.
the week ending the 15th of November 2020. Keep forgetting that one. It's always going to be easy to forget that year, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. As if we haven't already. Yeah, okay. 15th of November 2020. And so all the news headlines for the week coming up to that, except the one I will be starting with. Scargo's Exile Week Peak. I forget
Week
what it
peep.
is. We're
Peak
not
of the
there
week.
yet. That covers the week before, but just to confuse you. Anyway, um, with me here, of course, is James Out Loud, who was doing harmonies with me on the We Are.
If you can call it that.
Let's try it again, shall we? One, two, three.
We
We are.
are.
Yes, indeed, we are.
Okay.
Anyway, James will be speaking now and again, but also he's behind the scenes. He's dealing with knobs and cameras and various other things. And one of the things he does do is that while I'm announcing news items, I'm actually looking at them on my own desktop and I'm broadcasting them to James, who's then mixing it into the stream and sharing it with you, which
Hmm.
means you don't have to spend 2 hours looking at my ugly avatar face. I, I wouldn't say that the other content's any better, but
Not
at
the
least
full
it's
two
different.
hours. Right, right.
Yes, it adds a bit of variety to the scenery anyway.
Right, right.
Okay, so let's get on with it. Now, I have a single picture on screen at the moment, so I'm going to get that out of the way. James can probably share it with you.
Hmm.
This is the networking room, supposedly, at the VR Awards. The VR Awards happen in London here, where I am, in fact, every year. But this year, of course, they didn't happen in real life. So everybody was. Well, the biggest relief seemed to be from most of the participants realizing they were no longer going to have to go out and hire a tuxedo because it's one of those. didn't earn tuxedo awards normally.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all able to dress casually and accept their awards from home. And if they were in the audience, nobody could see them anyway. But it was all done virtually, of course. And they did a very good production job on it. You weren't really. I was simply watching on YouTube, and apart from the odd gap, it was. They showed the awards. They had a background screen and then a screen a bit like this. Then they had a piece of film that summarized all the nominations, and then somebody announced the award with some background graphics, and then the person receiving the award was usually patched in via, I don't know, it could have been Zoom, Skype, or anything else, but they appeared on real life on camera accepting the award kind of thing. And Uh, it's mostly very industry based. For example, there was a award for the best in education, and then the best in construction industry, and the best in traffic management. So I was really looking at already presupposing the different things that VR is actually used for. But there was a category, as you might expect, for the best headset or the interfacing device, which fortunately did not go to the O or the burger. It went to HTC's 5, which was nice. Made a change from that other thing we're hearing about all the while.
Your favorite, right?
Likewise, no, likewise, there was a game award which went to Half-Life Alex, which I believe is an HTC product.
It's a Valve product,
Oh, sorry, I'm getting.
but they're close partners. They certainly are.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. So yes, Valve public. Yeah, so Valve. It was the Valve headset then, and it was the Valve game, I
Oh,
guess.
not the
That
HTC headset. Okay. Hmm.
I'm getting mixed up. I thought
Yeah.
HTC was. I'll have to go back to the site and check. But also, one that I do know that the Lifetime Achievement Award for sort of 30 years in VR or something went to a lady whose name I forget. She was Chinese, I think she was, who is CEO of HTC. I was just quite pleased that this sort of high level awards kind of thing for a fairly early industry in its early days hadn't got invaded yet by the F Empire, the Zuckerberger Empire, whatever you want to call it. Notable but by their absence, although it has to be said that the O headset or some version of it did come up in the actual nominations, but it didn't do anything like win. So there we go. Anyway, so that's what that picture's all about, and I can put that away now because it's the only picture to show. Oh, actually, while I'm at it, you've seen this before, but this is just a reminder. Virtual's best practices in
Oh
education
yeah.
next year, March 18th to 20th, and that's a little graphic from them. Anyway, we'll put that away now, and we're on to our web pages too. And the first item of the week, as always, is the November 9th post, which is the XR Wheat Beak um, from Scarred Ghost. So you want SKARREDGHOST.com. And this site always looks back at the week gone by, so it summarises the whole week. But bear in mind, it's not the week that's just passed; it's the week before that, and it comes out every Monday. Um, they um, they have their own criteria for what they cover. There's certainly a lot more about gaming and games and things there, as well as hardware and stuff. Um, you can see from my scrolling what we got here: HoloLens, Kinect for Azure, VR chats. We covered that last week ourselves. So there's some duplication from what I covered last week, but also other things as well, and newsworthy mention. Um, it's always quite a long read, though this one actually is not one of the longest, but it's still, well,
Hmm.
you can still see that I'm scrolling forever. So rather than spend a lot of time on that, I would just point you in the direction of that post. And pardon me.
Oh.
We are, of course, broadcasting this on a Sunday, which is November 15th. If you are watching this on November 16th or later, then you will probably find that address has got a more recent XR Wheat Peak on it. So always worth plugging anyway. So that is that, so to speak. Right, now I'm going to go to I think the best way to do this is, right, before I go to website links, I'm going to do things a bit upside down this week.
Yay.
His morning shaves.
Sure.
We often end up with a few YouTube things. I'm actually going to start with them because the way they've got everything's got filed here in one place. So I'm going for the top of the list down. Um, these I will show you very briefly, but I won't be playing them all because some of them are long. This post is, and these, by the way, are not. So, come on, shut up, lady. Sorry, the mood I am. Right. I was just going to say, actually, these are not included in my Twitter feed, so bear in mind as I'm telling you now where to actually go. This is a film on can virtual reality be used in therapy, and it's posted by Ava Mason. She is a VR researcher, basically, and she's showing how virtual reality in therapy is being implemented for virtual various disorders, general social anxiety, specific phobias, bipolar, autism, other neurocognitive disorders, schizophrenia, and PTSD. And then I discuss, she says, meta review on all VR treatment trials to show the strengths, limitations, and future directions that virtual reality therapy could take. Anyway, this is a pretty thorough video. Introduction, then fear of flying, fear of spiders, fear of heights, paranoid symptoms, navigation in schizophrenia, bipolar, social cognition, autism, social skills, etc. And then the actual review of stuff she does starts about 15 minutes in. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's about 20 minutes long. The the whole piece. I've just realised I'm. Yeah, right. Well, I'll leave that to her. So you've got a 15-minute treat for you if you want to actually go and look that one up. So once again, her name is Ava Mason, AVA, one word, and then Mason, the other word. And yeah, if you're interested in therapeutic uses of VR, she's really got a good grip on it, and she's very eloquent too, and English. Very pleasant English voice. She's got a rarity on some of these things. Right, moving on to my next one. Again, we're back at YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Right, James says, "Oh yes." The VR download is now being split into two. There's one on Monday or Tuesday, and another at the end of the week. Um, I'm not sure which is which. I can't see the right date on this.
It looks like Mondays because it just
Looks like Mondays.
has
Fair
Ian
enough.
on the
Okay.
couch there, I think.
Right. Well, it's an hour long this one anyway, and they're looking at Reverb G2, Microsoft OpenXR, PlayStation 5 VR patches, and a whole load more. Um, Definite focus on gaming here, but they do obviously cover the technology too, and as James will tell you, they're very interesting, surprisingly coherent given that they're legless. Couldn't resist
uh,
that one, could I?
right.
You knew that was coming.
Yeah, you know
Okay.
you can't see that I have legs on the screen right now, so who knows? But I do have arms and all the rest.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah. If the folks were in here or we moved the camera around, we would see that you actually
We
have
would.
legs. It
And when
sounds
we
like
walked,
indeed,
we
but
moved
yeah, yeah,
with walking. Yep.
yeah, indeed. Okay, so I'm not going to play anything of that because right, and that again
It was
is
great content, but it I really do
yeah,
miss having a larger group. I mean they, so the Thursday show I haven't watched yet, but I'll have to take a look at that because I think they have again kind of more of a panel. But the Thursday show is all games; it's not about hardware, so it's I mean
yeah,
it's a good break up, but different character actually in both shows and different sets. I can tell this is the Monday show because there's a couch and no desk. in front of the
Oh,
speakers.
yeah, actually, I remember noticing. Right,
Yep.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember noticing that difference. I couldn't remember which was which, but I remember the
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, what's this one? Creating a VR avatar with Mickey Yellow. Oh, believe it or not, this is something that's actually live now. So I better leave it alone, hadn't
Okay.
I?
Okay.
Okay, moving on, moving on. Oh, sorry, that was VR Upload, the account we needed for that
All
one,
right, so
wasn't
why
it?
don't
Yep.
you just
Yeah.
like
Yep.
introduce yourself and where are we at here?
For sure. I'm James Kane. We I work for Paradowski Creative, as do we all, and we are hosting the AIGA Design Show 25 for.
Right. Okay. Now, this is a guided tour of, as I said, AIGA Design Show 2020, and this is happening in Mozilla Hubs. And the interesting thing is that we know Kent By, of course, for the Voices of VR podcast, but he actually has a YouTube channel too, and this is where he obviously filmed this 26 minutes of it anyway, just talking to the people that were doing the event on video instead of his normal audio podcast. So again, if you want to look this up, you just want Kent by name, Kent space BYE. And yeah, I forget. I don't think I've got any Voices of VR podcasts this week, but we'll see as we go along. Anyway, so putting that one away, moving along now. This is the other episode
Good
of.
afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Thursday's Upload VR Down.
Now they nicked that from me. Good afternoon, evening. Actually, they forgot
Oh,
the
I'll have to
tomorrow.
listen to that again. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's my old intro from the In-World Review. We don't do it
Not
on
with
this
the
show.
same
Look,
pacing though. You had better pacing,
Good
I think.
afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the
Oh,
world,
right,
and
right, right.
welcome to Thursday's Upload VR Download, our twice weekly podcast. And on Thursdays, we cover gaming. I'm your
yeah, the first thing I heard when I tuned into this one was, "Hey, that's been done already." And it's a good line, but he missed out. My In-World Review is good morning, good evening, good night, good day. So I've forgotten it now.
Whenever and
But
wherever.
yeah, wherever and whenever
Yeah.
you are.
Right.
Oh yeah, and I include good tomorrow, I think, and also says yeah, but it's the same. Never mind, never
We'll
mind,
have to go into
never
the
mind.
archives, right?
Yeah. Anyway, the account for both of those, including the one we had up a minute ago, and I forgot to mention, it is actually Upload VR. It's all one word, Upload, capital U, and then VR in capitals, but there's no space between those, so it's Upload VR, as you can see there in front of us. Yep.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
where my mouse is flippering about. Okay, moving on. Right, this is oh, not the last one. Right, this one is one that popped up yesterday, and again, it's an hour long. So there's nobody on this panel that I have a clue as to who they are or where they come from. But I came across the film of this webinar called "The Future of Virtual Reality" and what place will it have in our future. And it's an interesting listen. They're all people who are talking quite sensibly, which is always a good thing. And yeah, they seem to be called VR Together. They have a Twitter feed, and their account here at YouTube is the same thing, VRT, all in capitals, and then OGETHER, so VR Together, spelled as all one word. And what could, should, or has to happen to virtual reality in order to have the same impact to change the way we learn, shop, work, play, travel, blah, blah, blah? What are the most promising use and business cases, and how can I start tomorrow using this dot 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 technology? Right. Okay. So VR Together, the name of the account for that one, and
Is VR currently where smartphones were?
well, yeah, I'm not going to stay here and fiddle. I was about to say that most of the accents seem to be It's all in English, of course, but they're slightly European. I think the first champ on there was Denmark, but further along the reason I haven't heard of these people may simply be because they are based in Europe rather than the USA. Their website, by the way, is vrtogether.eu. So there you go. Yeah, European. Right, Rain Dance Immersive Festival 2020. This is from immersivecomputing.org. This is actually a web page, which is here for one very specific reason. Um, all these are actually showcase things that have been shown at the festival. Um, like everything else, it's all online this year. Um, it was Rain Dance Immersive last year was at the Oxo Tower in Southwark in London here, which is the South Bank. That's where it was last year. And yeah, this year there's plenty of hardware and stuff like that. That is from last year, not this year. Because of lockdown, basically, it was all online. But there's a whole load of coverage of before and after kind of stuff here in this article. Let me get back up the top here. This article you will actually find at a site called immersivecomputing.org. So that's immersivecomputing.org. And yeah, it's basically just a summary of the festival. And I didn't even scroll down half of that. Mind you, there's masses to read here. But I'm going to actually go ahead now to the next YouTube piece, which is also about the Rain Dance Immersive. And this is an interview about a program
Hello,
called
everyone. We're here in this incredible.
Right. It's an interview about an app thing called Scarecrow, and the interview takes place in VR chat. Basically, it's only 5 minutes long, so I'll give you a hint of it.
Scarecrow World, and I'm joined by the cast and crew of the Scarecrow VR chat experience. Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me into your world.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not. I've been saying 5 minutes, but I'm not here to play it out for you. But if you want to watch this, they have their own channel. Rain Dance, one word, immersive second word, and obviously just go to YouTube and then type those words in to find the channel. But the Scarecrow is a live theatrical performance, by the way, that has been very well received, and it takes place in VR chat. Although a Rain Dance Immersive uses a lot more platforms than just VR chat. But that's just one of their things that is in VR chat. Okay, moving on. Now, I think many of you know by now what the hell's going on. There we are. That we actually filmed this news here in Sansar. Loki Elliott is a well-known figure in both Second Life and in Sansar and all over the place. Actually, he's in most of the virtual worlds going, and he builds stuff amongst other things. But he also mentioned here, how he's built the same thing effectively in Second Life and in Sansar and in High Fidelity, one of the offshoots, I think. Um, I quite like this post actually because the main thing is it reminds us. I love this. He calls himself Digital Mischief Maker, which is funny. Loki, I guess it's like Loki, the foil of Thor in the Greek thing. Yeah.
Right, right.
Is it Greek? Yeah, I don't know. It's no, it's not. It's Marvel Comics.
Marvel
Same thing.
Comics, right?
Yeah, it was Greek, but now it's Marvel. Okay, his site is actually lokielliot.com. So LOKI and then ELIOT. Right, the Elliot bit's just got one L in it. So Loki Elliot, all one word.com. Basically, he's discussed Sansar has changed to from being an actual virtual world to an events hosting service. And so events might be what allows Sansar to survive, but underneath it still has all the features you need to build your own worlds and host your own events in them if you actually want to. So he's really reiterating the fact that, well, like this show here, I mean, we put it on here. We haven't got an audience at the moment, but we could have, and if there's any point in it, film it and so on, and you can build some really lovely locations here. So all the underlying stuff that you always used to be able to do, um, my one's just gone to sleep. Oh, there we are back again. You can still do here. So he's made a point of actually, saying what you need to get on with it, and Sansar has some of the best looking graphics on any virtual world, as the engineers created their own graphics
Hmm.
engine. But it also makes it graphics intensive and needing a need for fairly powerful hardware, etc. So yeah, then he goes to talk about Fort Loki, which uh, Gallery Tower, Missing Souls Quest. Fort Loki was his first proper world, and then the Crone, which is a game. Yeah, some of these he did in I think Second Life and somewhere else, but he's imported them all now in much more advanced way into Sansar. There he is himself. He always looks a bit like a schoolboy with a well, he's the mischievous Loki, isn't he?
So
anyway,
Mal,
anyway, and sorry.
I've betrayed my heritage. I should know this. Thor and Loki aren't Greek. They're not Roman. They're Norse. I've
Oh,
betrayed my Norwegian ancestors by not knowing that Thor and
that's
Loki
actually
were
so
Norse.
obvious, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. When people talk about gods and stuff, I actually think of Greek, the mythical gods. But of course, yeah, yeah, they Thor, yeah, Thor, the god of thunder, and Loki is was his mischievous brother or something. I don't
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Norse mythology. Yeah,
Yep.
far much more fun than the
Much
Greek
more fun.
stuff, really.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, yes. um, well, about to rabbit hole into Neil Gaiman's what are they called? Not new gods. There's
Oh, yeah.
never mind, never
Yep.
mind. I've also just started watching another show which is about 10 years old, science fiction. It's a prequel to Battlestar Galactica, and
Caprica. Yeah.
that's it, yeah. And that's weird because it seems to be just like Planet Earth. They all wear suits and ties and shirts. Fashion on this far distant world is identical to Earth,
Hmm.
except they've got paper things instead of tablets, and but they've got computers as well, and they've got. I found it because there was an article this week, which I don't think I've got up, but it was recommending television shows over a couple of decades that feature VR in quite a heavy way, and this was one of them.
Yes, and it's
And
good. Yeah, I like their
yeah,
portrayal of VR a lot.
yeah, I'm kind of throwing out the disbelief thing a bit because that world is just too much like Earth. I'm only 4 episodes in, um, but we got CGI and stuff these days, and even back 10 years ago, they've got special effects in there. It just doesn't seem, they've added all sorts of little things. Like the fashion is a sort of a 50s style hat, but with little badgy sort of things on the
Hmm.
side that
Hmm.
make them look like red Indians. So, it's a mixture of offbeat stuff and then stuff we all know too well. And you would never get if life existed on another planet, human life. That is taken for granted because if I remember rightly, there's 12 colonies, and Earth is the 13th lost colony that
Right,
they
right.
went on to search for in the original Battlestar. I don't know how the other Battlestar works it out. I've yet to watch it. I've got a huge box set and haven't started. But yeah, well, never mind that for now. But I'm not super keen on the realism of that. But one of the major differences is that you could almost believe you're actually watching a drama taking place on planet Earth, and then you realise that convention has it that there is no God. They've got gods of this and gods of that, and the outlaws in the story so far are people who believe in a one God,
Right.
which since I'm very skeptical about any form of religion. quite frankly. So the idea, both sides intrigue me here as being utter nonsense.
Yeah. If
But
I get talking about it, I'll spoil the program, so I won't talk about it.
oh, I
But I
don't
like it.
mind. I'll take it in mind. But we
Yep.
we ought to actually stick with real
That's right.
virtuality or
Right.
metaverse. But yes, it did come. What was it called again? I haven't got used to it
Caprica.
yet. Caprica, that's
Right.
right, which is the name of one of the 12 planets in Battlestar Galactica. But it all takes place about 60 years before, and it tells us how or it will. I think it already has, but I mean, it will tell us how the robotic
And that's
Cylons
produced,
were.
by Ronald Moore from Star Trek and Deep Space Nine, and I guess
Yeah.
he's got on to do Poldark, and
Oh,
the
I haven't
newest
watched
version
that.
of
Yes,
Poldark.
I haven't watched that. That's
My
not
wife
science
liked
fiction.
Poldark.
Ah. No, yeah, I've got it. I know I had the intention of watching it, but I got more than I can watch.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous.
True, true.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I think I've figured it out already, and we're only 3 episodes in. But I mean, it's giveaways, as it were. But certainly, if you're interested in watching things where virtuality has been portrayed to a good effect or lesser effect, depending, then that is one of the other things. There's also a British show listed in the article, "Kiss Me Gently," I think
Hmm.
was called,
Hmm.
which I was quite gripped on when it showed over here a couple of years ago now. I believe that is just available in the States. So anyway, moving on. So yeah, LokiElliott.com will tell you all about, give you a little crash course on how you can still use Sansar to make your own world and do things, despite the fact that its principal function now is an events hosting service. Right, moving on. This is a site. This one I yeah, this is on our twitter.com Metaworld News channel. Um, this is advertising something tomorrow, so I thought I'd include it. Monday, November 16th, 1 p.m. Pacific time in Craft World. And the article here is at hypergridhop.com. So that's hypergridhop.com. Good site to subscribe to, although unusually these things when they're posted, posted the day before or something. So there's not much point in me putting them on this show when they're already over. But this is actually happening tomorrow, and it's Kisma Painting in America, the art of Kisma Riedling paintings in America, and part of the real life, virtual life biennial. Art Blue and Juliet Surreal run the Hypergrid Hoppers thing. It's only about once a month. They're both artists themselves. You may well know that we have interviewed them on other shows, and they indeed are doing a presentation in about 3 weeks' time as part of the Open Sim Community conference as well. Um, Now, I don't quite get this. Please note that America Art will be the first time announced in the up and coming Open Simulator Conference December 5th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Um, there's Art Blue. Um, okay, I don't get that, and that's dated September, and then it's also advertising this tomorrow. Um, and then it's talking about December the 5th at the conference. I I better let you just follow that and make of it what you will. But there is definitely a Craft World event happening tomorrow, and you can find that article at Hypergrid Hop, all
Yeah.
one word,
And that article,
.com.
that session is 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, so they should alert people to that. I've just been publishing the schedule now, so
Oh, right.
yep.
Okay, well, this is Art Blue has never been, Julia. They're somewhere in Europe, and they've never been quite. They're they're worse than me at keeping track of time zones, if you ask me. But anyway, yeah. So
It's
anyway,
tough.
this
Yep.
is This is in Craft World tomorrow. The conference is in 3 weeks, so we'll worry about that a bit later. Okay, and back to another YouTube one, which again is Sansar, and I'm going to play this one. It's only 90 seconds. It's Sansar's community events recap, and the channel is called Sansar at YouTube. There's Loki again. Right. We don't want that. But so, yeah, from the 2nd to the 10th of November there. So it's a roundup of last week's stuff here in Sansar. But it was published midweek, so hence the most recent thing there is the 10th, which is 5 days ago now. Okay, another one from the Metaworld news stream. Basically, this is today. Now, once upon a time, we would actually have been in Kitely filming this program, but we've been here in Sansar and other places for a while now. But quite literally today at 1 p.m. PST, we're at Pacific. Is literally in about 1 hour's time. So if you're watching this live, it's simply an advertisement. You can join the Kitely community meeting, and it's open to Hypergrid and Kitely users, and they're going to be answering questions about the Kitely grid, but also the special Mega Worlds thing that we've covered recently. Bit of a last minute thing there, but given that that will be in about an hour's time now. But if Kitely is your thing, then check that out. The post I'm reading out is at kitely.com, so kitely.com. Very much last minute advice on that one. And yeah, okay, we're now moving into what is kind of more like the normal part of the show, which is where I've got various the twitter.com/Malbones feed, where I've got various posts to do with VR interfacing, haptics, and just in a general sense, virtual reality. Um, these are actually in a sort of most recent heading back order at this point because of the way I've loaded them. The XR Association have released an update to their developers guide focused on accessibility. The association is a trade association representing technology manufacturers for virtual, augmented, and mixed reality industries, and they have a thing called the Developers Guide, which is a starter guide for developers. Oh, what a surprise! Designing reality expanding experience, and the standalone update is about inclusive and accessible software designs for XR with industry best practices for developing accessible platforms that enhance the experience of all users, not just those with disabilities. So that's all there is to say about it, really. There's quite a lot more written about it there, but if you're interested, you want to go to virtualityreporter.com. So that's VIRTUALITYREPORTER.com. Virtual Reality Reporter, three words but squashed into one.com. All right, scroll down a bit here so we know where we are and move on to our next one. Um, Oh yeah. Okay. This is at arpost.co. We've had a few of them recently. arpost.co. Just a single co there, not a com. They're asking how virtual reality is changing animation. How is virtual reality not changing everything? Really, it is. No, but they're specifically looking at animation. I mean, obviously, um, many creators are using VR tools for skill-intensive and time-consuming tasks. It's believed that virtual reality will soon take the world of animation to new realms. Well, I've been, ever since Second Life began, really. I've been following. I've been even on judging panels for films called Machinima, and basically, it's all about being inhabited. In other words, an animator draws cells and basically, or puppets or whatever they do, they make and control all the facets of an animated film. A real life cinema film, I mean, forgetting about modern CGI and everything else, basically has real actors who learn their lines and their actions and train for that and whatever. And virtual reality films actually, forgetting the hardware of VR, the 3D helmets and everything, films made in virtual worlds actually sort of fall a bit in between because you hire people whose avatars will be your actors. And you choose them because they got good acting voices and everything else. And sometimes they or a separate person will be involved in puppeteering, I would call their avatar. Some would call it animating the avatar, but it's probably better to think of it as puppeteering. So the end result looks like a cartoon, but actually all the facets of making it involve having real people and all the real world skills you would get in normal cinema. And sadly, in Second Life, there's very little compared with the early days when there was masses of quality machinima. All my feeds nowadays that used to be good machinima are all full of very amateurish sort of try your dress on at this shop videos. They're not making any serious machinima stories anymore in Second Life. I'm sure some people are, and they do pop up now and again, but um, the University of Western Australia and various people who used to sponsor Orange, the communications company, they used to sponsor these things, and a lot of the sponsors have gone elsewhere, and so not many people are making the films anymore, sadly. But the point of this article is it's asking if virtual reality can change animation, and I would certainly say it can, because conceptually, you aren't drawing and then animating the environment or even coding it as you would in CGI. You're actually modeling it and building the environment, and it looks like a cartoon or it looks like something very unlike real. But you then move a camera around inside it, just as we could be doing here if James fancied panning around my head, and he better not because my hair's sticking out my hat. But
I can follow you.
and he don't look good. But you can move your camera around in the virtual environment essentially, and make up your film that way. And as you can see, the actor, the avatar, their lips can be moving. Gosh golly, yes, see my lipsies? They're moving. It's what we call lip flap, and it's the first thing we check when we're about to go on air. Lip flap ahoy, we say. Anyway, yes. So there is quite a bit to this. Now, this article's posted, yesterday, no, Friday, to Jana Melev, whatever. And as I said, arpost.co. And yeah, there's a fair old bit there. I think there may be a little bit. Yeah, there's the actual website. No, it's actually quite a short piece, actually. So head back there. Okay, moving on. Now this is a website I just love to pronounce. It's called Vroom. Yeah, I better spell it, hadn't I? VRROOM dot buzz. BUZZ. So we got two R's in there and two O's together and two Z's together. This is a fun old site. This is VRroom dot buzz. I think it's meant to be VR and then as if there was a space room, but I think of it with the buzz and everything else. I think it like revving a motorbike. Eat your heart out, meatloaf.
And good
Right.
times are had by all.
Yes, exactly. Will Museum XR exhibits finally push out the old heads? The old heads, really referring to the old type of people who run museums. Um, Obviously, COVID has shattered many of the institutions, and it's been making the way for AR and VR experiences to flourish. Well, that's a known as a result of COVID and the lockdowns and the absence of normal times where the old heads thrived. Anyway, museum moving in. No, that's different, isn't it? Anyway, it's an article. It's just generally looking at the future of museums and whether VR or similar things will be the future. And they look at a couple of apps and look at a couple of, it's basically an overview
Hello,
post.
isolationists. Today I want to tell you about pretty much the coolest artifact I've ever heard of, which is the meteoritic knife of Tutankhamun. So
Where the
Tutankhamun's tomb was found back in 1922. When it was discovered, they obviously
Okay,
found a mummy of
I
Tutankhamun,
don't know
but
what's
also a
happened here.
whole heap of other
V
artifacts.
R
Now,
R O
this
O
is
M
mysterious, fair
dot
enough, but
B
mysterious
U
because it's
Z Z
made
is
from
the
iron.
website you want for
Now, this may
that.
not sound
And
super special, but the Egyptians didn't really use iron. They didn't really have the ability to take iron from iron ore, so you don't see much of it in any of their stuff. So where did this iron
Hmm.
come from? By looking at it
where's
and looking
my
at the traces of
oh
nickel, they found that it was comparatively very similar to a meteor, because meteors also produce iron. So it's very likely that this knife was made from a meteor. There's even a word in ancient
okay,
Egyptian
folks.
called
I don't know where
nabut,
I'm
which
getting my
basically
noise
means
from.
iron from the sky. So if you're a fan of Stargate, this is so awesome.
Okay, well we're killing the sound. Something's got a walking, talking thing on its webpage.
Right,
Anyway,
right.
moving on. We're now at a site called theengineer.co.uk. So it's a THEENGINEER .co.uk. And they're talking about a VR tool which brings new hope for COVID-19 drug design. Down in Bristol, which is about 100 miles west of London here. Um, Nice place. Researchers at Bristol University have got a new developed tool that could help design and test drug leads by showing how the potential drugs would fit into the SARS-CoV-2 enzyme known as the main protease. Well, yeah, this is for molecular people, really, isn't it? Right. The study was published in the Journal of Chemical Information and Modeling. And it created a 3D model structure because SARS-CoV M Pro and used interactive molecular dynamic simulations to step inside it and visualize molecules' bindings to the enzymes in atomic detail. So, virtual reality is useful for very contemporary problems, apparently. Um, they basically model the problem and presumably then go into the VR model to try and fix it. It's my interpretation of that. Anyway, there's quite a lot of links here. What you see in blue there, heading off to places with more information on that. So the engineer, or one word, co UK is the site with that on it. Moving on. This one I kind of interesting. This should really is well. This is in Metaworld News's feed as well. It's in both. Um, Virtual gatherings, real connections. A new platform really called Teo. TEOOH.com. And I have downloaded it for free and signed up. You have to go there and sign up. As you can see in the background here, it's showing various things, scenarios you could use. For example, if you're having an office meeting, this has got 12 chairs around a central table. Um, they're, 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 they're not totally realistic avatars or anything, but they're far more decent than a lot of them. This template, for example, team meetings, daily standouts, breakouts, chats, etc., for 12 people. There's a boardroom ready made for you if you want larger meetings. That's a capacity of 28 avatars. Um, 4 chairs, capacity of 4. Gosh, what? brilliant mathematics there, eh? The huddle, 8 areas, 8 around a central table plus 4 private breakout tables. Community lounge. That was, as you can see, is that's got a capacity of 40. I think actually the capacity is very high for a lot of these things. They when they refer to the capacity, they're referring to the capacity in the design of the room, as it were. 5 chairs on stage, 9 private tables facing the stage. That'd be a fun venue for holding a conference or something in, I think, even though it's a community lounge. Fireside chat, again, tables for the audience and capacity of 50. Fireside panel, close up there, that'd be great for a talk show, etc., etc. And this basically, actually, the avatars are more or less like that. So they're nothing spectacular, but you can customize them. And I would actually say, having downloaded the client, that the avatars are probably, when you actually see them in the virtual world, they probably are. They probably look a bit better than they look in that still picture there. Um, this is beta, by the way. So you can download it for free, and I think it's going to stay free, but officially it's beta. It's for people sick of Zoom calls, for example, a sim style virtual world, or sitting at a real table with everyone. And I'd have to go back. Um, I'd have to go back and check, but I think, um, yeah, I think as well as a downloadable to clients, you can actually load it into the web as well. So if I'd have to go back and check that, I think actually, or you can go to the site and check yourself. If that is the case, then it could well be a kind of contender for the market that things like Mozilla Hubs are hitting. Um, as I said, the site is the name of the product. It's TO, so it's TEOOH .com. I presume TO is how you pronounce it, or TU, whatever. Virtual meetings, in-person vibes, as they say. And yep, okay, you can figure out that for yourselves as you need it. Now I've got to find out where I was. There we are. Right. Right, stretchable sensor gives robots and VR a human touch. This is another poster. Vroom! V double R double O M dot BUZZ, or ZZ as Americans call it. A stretchable sensor giving robots and VR a human touch. Researchers at Cornell are behind this. There have been quite a few posts in the last couple of days about this elsewhere. Um, just do a check. No, it is all text. Right. Okay. There is a video going around of this too. But I don't seem to have got that loaded, or maybe I have. This. Well, we'll see anyway. Um, Basically, a lot of people approve of it. Basically, it's a stretchable sensor, and in which light is sent through an optical waveguide, and a photodiode detected changes in the beam's intensity to determine when the material was deformed. And they've now developed a variety of similar sensory materials, such as optical lace and foams, as in foaming beer or whatever. Um, yeah, you'd have to go here and read this. It's very technical. But basically, I think the idea here, what they want to say, is that they could put this stretchable sort of skin stuff on robots, and they would become soft, and they would fit, like a robot arm with these sensors attached could be made to be like a soft human arm or whatever. The video certainly implied that. If I can find it later. Um, okay, they've basically created a fiber optic sensor that combines low cost LEDs and dyes in like paint, resulting in a stretchable skin that detects deformations such as pressure, bending, and strain. Anyway, all contributing to the future of haptics, and it gives robots and VR a human touch. So they're obviously covering the robot side here, but equally, it could be an input device if you're in a VR kit, as it were. Right, moving on. VRScout.com. How can schools prepare for AR VR integration? Um, Again, the education field, really. The technologies have the capacity to truly revolutionize education, as it says further down here. Um, their immersive nature elevates students' learning experiencing, allowing them to absorb course material in ways that haven't been done before. For those of us who are familiar with these environments, I mean, this sort of really goes without saying, but I mean, it always helps to have articles reiterating the fact, especially given COVID and everything else forcing us to actually use this stuff. I don't know. This is a short piece. Oh, oh, good. I got my normal sound back. A Buffalo School. Would this be Buffalo in? Okay, well, a little bit of interviewing the kids there, basically. Um, Another video there. I'm not going to play it. Can VR teach racial empathy? This is some NBC News clip. As you can see, they've covered quite a lot of stuff in here, and also a thing about using it for teacher training as well, rather than just the normal trainees, so to speak. So you'll find this post at vrscout.com. That's VRSCOUT.com. Moving on, we've got another post here at arpost.co. ARPOST.co. Research virtual reality exposure therapy, a viable solution for treating eating disorders. It seems like therapy can be used for just, virtual reality for everything, really. This is researchers in the UK here at the University of Kent, also the University of Cyprus, presumably a joint thing, and the results of the study published in Human Computer Interaction Journal. Ah, there's journals for everything, isn't there? Um, yeah. Okay. So again, I'm skimming over this fairly quickly. It speaks for itself. Basically, it's a roundup of some research and the way virtuality could be used for treating disorders by using something called exposure therapy. Um, Both therapists and participants wear a headset by an unmentionable manufacturer. Right, moving on. Definitely moving on there. This is a UK site called the Daily Mail. It's a newspaper, basically, not one of the best, but it's tolerable. DAILYMAIL.co.uk. And this is great news here in Britain. Well, they keep announcing all these very costly things, and as far as I know, they spent so much on COVID, there's no money left. But never mind. The University of Surrey researchers have set up Britain's first dedicated hub looking into creating 6G internet. I mean, this is we've barely got 5G off the ground. It's a successor to the current 5G, which itself is still in its infancy. 6G is not expected to be a reality until the end of the decade, but it will revolutionize how we communicate. It will allow for near instantaneous virtual interactions, allow people to send a hug to a loved one or shake hands with a colleague online. So it's not just 6G and the speed that you think about, it's actually what that speed will imply. I mean, it'd be kind of an end to lag almost, won't it? If you can actually imagine going into a Zoom call and actually shaking hands with the person at the other end, well, say a Skype call, where it's just so fast. It's just they'll be able to build whatever they need to create the shaking hands thing, especially if we've got tactile inputs and stuff. And 6G will obviously, well, 5G is already bringing mobile communications into the same sphere as broadband. I mean, 6G will just take this to a ridiculous level. Yeah, argue. Well, by the end of the decade, we probably will need it. So, thinking ahead here, I did actually read that the sorry here, read an article later in the week that somebody I think it was in another country somewhere, has actually joined them in this 6G hub. Um, so
Did you say this was from
yeah,
the Daily News?
no, Daily Mail,
Oh, Daily Mail. Okay.
dailymail.co.uk. Let's
Not
see if I
not
can
your
get there.
usual reading location though, is it?
Yeah, this is yeah, well, yeah. I don't read the daily newspapers as a rule, but I mean I get this because I have search engines finding articles for me. Yeah, I mean I'd be more likely to be reading if I'm reading anything, The Guardian, but yeah.
So this is not the newspaper with the page three,
Oh,
the page three girls or
it
whatever.
might have been. It might have been once upon a time.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
I don't think that it's not politically correct to do that anymore.
no.
Um, yeah, it's a science and tech thing. A lot of these papers, they look rather tacky if you see them in the old newsagents. But these
Yeah.
days, if they even exist on paper, since they moved online, they get it's still the mail online, but they have departments, as it were. And being online, you can zoom into the departments without reading latest headlines and stuff.
Yep.
DMG Media. Oh, their office is up the road from me here. I can see it out my window. Uh,
Okay.
but the Daily Mail that is. But it's just staff going in and out until they have a fire drill. That's always fun. They make a lot of noise when they come out for their fire drills. Right, moving on, moving on. See the things you learn from me.
Yeah.
Right, Daily Mail staff are noisier when having a fire drill. Right, this post is at sciencedaily.com. So SCIENCEDAILY.com. Um, this is another sensor. They love making these sensors these days, don't they?
Hmm.
It survives the washing machine, cars, and hammers. So you put your clothes through a lot, and they reckon smart textiles of the future are going to survive everything we throw at them because their components are going to be resilient. Research again has been published in Nature. Um, Current soft stay gauges are really sensitive, but also really fragile. Um, the problem is we're working with an oxymoronic paradigm. High sensitivity sensors are usually very fragile, and strong sensors usually aren't very sensitive. So we need to find mechanisms that will give us both at the end. So they've created a design that looks very much like a slinky. Now, I've got a slinky.
Hmm.
They're a strip of spiral metal, and you put them at the top of the stairs, and they sort of go down by expanding. And it's a solid cylinder of rigid metals, but if you pattern it into a spiral shape, it becomes stretchable. That's essentially what they did here. We started with a bulk rigid material, in this case carbon fiber, and patterned it in such a way that the material becomes stretchable. So if you can imagine those slinky toys in absolute microcosm, then they can use that idea to make a material that is both sensitive and strong, rather than one or the other. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the entire details of that, but if you want to read more about that research, go to sciencedaily.com. Science Daily is all one word, of course, .com. Right, and talking about the science sites, we've got another one here. This is scientificamerican.com, ScientificAmerican.com. God, my eyesight gets worse by the week. Spatial computing could be the next big thing. Well, arguably, already is. Um, beyond virtual and augmented reality, yeah, fair enough. I mean, spatial computing is, um, by reference, it includes things like virtual and augmented reality too. Um, but it's basically computing with regard to space, be it a virtual world or a VR environment or anything that takes space into account. Um, right. They're imagining somebody called an octogenarian who lives independently, uses a wheelchair. All the objects in her home are digitally catalogued. All sensors and devices that control the objects have been internet enabled, and a digital map of her home has been merged with an object map. As Martha moves from her bedroom to the kitchen, the lights switch on, the ambient temperature adjusts. The chair will slow if her cat crosses her path. When she reaches the kitchen, the table moves to improve her access to the refrigerator and stove, and then moves back when she's ready to eat. Later, she begins to fall when getting into bed. Her furniture shifts to protect her. An alert goes to her son and the local monitoring station. And then her ISP drops.
Yeah,
Now, I added that one.
that's an
I mean,
opinionated.
I love
Hmm.
smart home and all my smart toys, but like I can't ask Madam, I can't ask Amazon's
Hmm.
thing
Hmm.
or the GG thing or uh, S thing. I can't ask all these smart things to do stuff when the internet goes down. They won't work on your local network. They insist on relaying the information up to a web server and then back down to the device.
We've had live
And
demonstrations on the show
you
about
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah, you lock yourself out of your home. I mean, I gather most smart locks actually have provisions for that kind of thing. But yeah, was it YouTube or something Google messed up for a couple of days in the week? People can get their YouTube to work. I mean, what is the hell is the point in this stuff if it's not always on and always available? you know,
We can't get our
um,
YouTube to work today.
yeah, you scale. Oh, really?
No, no, go ahead.
Oh,
Go on.
uh, uh, yeah, scaling is one thing, but you don't use your customers or your people, as a guinea pig. You if you can't scale, then cut back until you can, rather than have things collapse or whatever. I mean, if the internet is a way of getting away. Putting stuff on the internet seems to be just a way of getting away with stuff that in the real world you wouldn't be allowed to. You'd be fined or God knows what. I mean, rabbit hole approaching, so I shall quickly pull myself up. Spatial computing could be the next big thing. Anyway, that is just very true. This so a general article there about the report and reading. You can read more about it. We're on a link, and then they look at 10 emerging technologies of this year as well. So that is Scientific American, all one word, .com. Right. We mentioned that in Sansar here there was a Glastonbury related and various music events happening here. There's another social VR platform that's relatively new called Sensorium Galaxy, and Carl Cox, who I think was at the Sansar thing here, I can't remember. I know I certainly saw him at another event online, but that was him for real on webcam. Um, But apparently he's joining this platform Sensorium Galaxy, which has been getting quite a lot of PR, and they'll be creating an exclusive content for them in 2021. Um, Cole Cox effectively is a DJ, but he's also one of the world, leading figures in electronic music. I mean, I actually have, going back to the 90s, a whole load of VHS videotapes with sort of ambient music mixes that he did, but also with integrated visuals. They were early computer graphic type things, long before we had, 3D environments to go into. These were just graphical things that showed on your TV screen. Um, Anyway, he's signed up to do a host. He's going to be hosting a series of exclusive performances in Sensorium Galaxy. of a VR platform backed by the former owner of Brooklyn Nets, Mikhail no, not Gorbachev,
Yeah.
Prokhorov, and Jay-Z's music streaming service Tidal. Anyway, that is their announcement. It's PR stuff too. Um, the music world of Sensorium Galaxy is actually called Prism. We have covered that before, and that's actually the world within Sensorium that he will be hosting in. Um, and they will be creating a highly realistic virtual representation of Carl Cox himself using best-in-class motion capture um, studios, etc., etc. Anyway, if you're into the music and particularly Carl Cox's kind of music, his mixes and stuff, then check this out. You'll find this post at virtualrealityreporter.com. I'm not going to read that one out again. I did it earlier. virtualrealityreporter.com, but those three words are all squashed together into one long word that makes it hard to read out letter by letter. So virtualrealityreporter.com. Okay, we're back to run. Yes, we are. What's it like to share a body in virtual reality? Okay. Toyohashi University of Technology. Suspect that's Japanese. Um, right, COVID has led to a significant increase in the use of cyberspace, working together, distant places, interacting with remote environments, etc., etc., etc. Um, Full body movements of two participants were monitored via a motion capture system, and the movements of the shared avatar were determined as the average of movements of the two participants. 20 participants, 10 dyads, whatever, were asked to perform reaching movements with their right hand towards target cubes that were presented at various locations. Participants exhibited superior reaction times with the shared avatar than they did with individual reaction times, and avatar hand movements were straighter and less jerky than those of the real participants. Or the participants exhibited a sense of agency and body ownership towards the shared avatar, though they only formed part of the actual shared avatar. Okay, that's interesting. This is another very specific thing. People will research all sorts of things. Back in the day, um, I forget. There was an author of a book about Second Life. He was a Brit actually, though he passed away quite a while ago. Um, but I've got his book somewhere, and I think it's Simon Weston or somebody. Basically, there was a group of disabled people. I think they all lived together in like a care home or something like that, and they were having great difficulty interfacing with their computers. So what they did is there were about six or a dozen of them, and they got together to create one avatar in Second Life, with each of them um, driving, should we say, a particular facet of the avatar. And it was considered quite a landmark thing because this was the early days of Second Life, and they were sharing one interconnect connection basically, but maybe I'm just hypothesizing here. A guy who had hands but no legs operated the avatar's hands. Another guy with legs who wasn't in a wheelchair could have operated the legs. Somebody else with a voice could have. Actually, no, this was before they had voice, but you get the idea. And this sort of seems to be a rather similar experiment. One avatar with multiple drivers or real world people behind it. Um, for it's got to be a very specific thing, like that example I gave you, and that example I gave you may just have come from the fact they only had one internet connection between them, so they were forced to play together in that way. Um, Whether in this day and age, particularly, there's any real function in having a one avatar with multiple drivers idea, um, I'm not sure. I mean, I can think of more useful things of having one driver, multiple avatars. you know, one avatar can do one thing for you, another avatar can do another thing for you. So it sort of seems to be tipping the idea of utility really on its head. But there we go. I won't rabbit hole you on this once more. You can go to VRROM dot BUZZ room
I will
buzz.
remind you there are two of me here today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It certainly makes much more sense to have multiple. I mean, um, I think only Second Life is the only place I actually have any significant alts, as they're called. There's a Malburn's Writer, which is my main one, and Malburn's Footman. And I've got a Mal. Yeah, I was very cheeky. I've got a Malburn's reaction grid in Second Life. We were being a bit cheeky one day. We decided to make second like avatars of a competing grid. But never mind, never mind. Yep. Long time ago. So that was at Vroom again. Right. This is a site called Input Mag. INPUTMAG.com. Obviously, it's a magazine called Input, hence Input Mag. So clever they are, so clever. Right, this has got retweeted quite a few times, which actually sort of makes sense. I haven't actually got this yet. It's a yet to be released. It's a soon to be released app, which will use the AR kit in the iPad, which is the augmented reality framework, right? And basically, you'll be able to, um, in the way you're at the moment, you hold your pad up or whatever, and you can create an avatar or well, it could also be a photographic image that appears to walk in your real world environment because the one camera sees what's in front of you, the other camera sees you, and and also it senses the way you're holding the tablet. It mixes it all together basically. Um, Most gamers who stream online use picture in picture to show the gameplay alongside a shot of them using their VR gear. This app on the iPad would allow gamers to record gameplay that would otherwise need to use a green screen to splice themselves in after they record using arduous video editing software. So when this app goes live and it's still waiting Apple's approval, mixed reality will work with the Oculus Quest or Quest 2, dare I mention them, all in one VR headsets that connect to an iOS device via Bluetooth. You'll also need, on top of that VR setup, you'll need an iPhone or an iPad that features the new A12 Bionic chips. But it looks like you simply point your iOS device's camera's rear camera at yourself as you play, and the app does all the work of putting your real life self into the action. And it talks about Apple's spent years doing this business and, yeah, citing all the other kind of people involved. Um, could be very interesting. It's not an Apple, it's an independent app on iOS, iPad, iPhone, etc., rather than an Apple thing in itself. And it's not a direct play into a sort of VR platform or anything. It's really simply a tool that would allow you to use both cameras on the iPad or phone to um, do the do the heavy lifting on calculations that will then create a real world presence in um, an environment that you'd have on your PC or in a headset. So it would all sort of tie together. Interesting, interesting. As I said, there are multiple retweets on that, so that is my way of telling you a lot of people seem to have been interested, although they may just have been tempted by the title. To be honest, that's sort of it's the sort of headline that caught my eye immediately. There's an app for that. Right, moving on, moving on. SamsungNext.com. Samsung has the people who make all their phones and stuff. And next, SAMSUNGNEXT.com. 7th of November. This is, I may have had this last week. I'm not sure. 7th of November. It's written by
I,
James
I don't
Orr.
recall it.
Oh, okay. It's written by Wagner James Orr, who of course is does real world New World Notes, the original embedded Linden Lab reporter. But anyway, he's talking about avatars, using avatars and how they change the way we are. Um, and well, he goes back and talks about experiments from the 60s, and well, he's got enough experience to talk about this. And I certainly would agree with this as somebody who's used an avatar originally just in Second Life about 15 years ago or something, if not longer. Um, there are ways, subtle ways. I mean, it depends on who you are, and but there are subtle ways when you're in your avatar, your character actually changes. Um, some things are just easier when they're done with an avatar, and when you've done them enough, it becomes second nature to you to do that easier route. Other things are easier to do in a ordinary human body than they are to do online. So you tend to use it. We tend to use the easiest routes, but of course, if we do it often enough, we kind of fall into different rhythms. And the rhythm of the way you act and move and interact as an avatar does have, and I'm not just talking about one platform, multiple platforms. Your idea of presence does change when it's in artificial environment, should we say, than when it's in the real environment. There have been cases of people whose personality has totally changed online, and their real world personality has changed as a result, for better or worse. By the way, they're not all sort of. I became a child killer because I went online thing. There some people have actually reported great benefits in socializing and things like that online, overcoming things that bug them in real life, whatever. So, yeah, avatars do, to a certain extent, change who we are. Um, to a great extent in some cases, or just subtle, minor ways in others. Anyway, this is reporting at all, but Hamlet is reporting on the reports kind of thing. So there's quite a lot to read here, including a lot of quotes and references to various other people. So, Samsung Next is what you want for this. SAMSUNGNEXT.com. Right. Now, here we've got another example of VR doing its thing. This is a site called Spatial Source.com, or so it's SPATILSOURCE.com.au, Australia, obviously. This is all about a VR simulation to help improve road safety for older pedestrians. So, old croaky geriatrics like me, you go out in the street and almost have a heart attack when a big fast car comes spewing its petroleum fumes down the street, which is supposed to be pedestrian only. Yeah, etc. Yeah, the world with motor cars in it can be pretty bloody dangerous, especially given the nature of some of the drivers. Something I've noticed too is that drivers are getting far more maverick during COVID lockdown than when they're not really meant to be using their cars very much. It's almost like there's space on the roads for them to be naughty. I don't know. Um, but anyway, the idea here is to in virtuality you simulate a walkable environment where when planning road upgrades. So this isn't something the older pedestrian wears to help them. It's something city planners would actually wear and sort of allow them to gauge using a virtuality simulation the effect of their road planning. In other words, um, do the cars get too close to the pedestrians on the pavement? And is what seems to be a reasonable speed limit when you actually see the car going at the speed limit, is that a limit enough, or should it be even slower? For example, I mean, one part of London, I don't know whether it's in my area or just nearby, but somewhere around here has imposed a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit now during lockdown. So the cars can't actually, even if there's room, the cars can't go fast anymore anyway. And good news, of course, in Britain, petroleum vehicles will be illegal now in 10 years' time. So you're going to have to be electric or you get a little bit of extra stay if you've got a hybrid, but no more petroleum vehicles. So if you got one, you've got 10 years to use it before it goes on the scrap heap. Good news. That good news. Right. Okay. This one is in Australia anyway. South Australia's Department of Infrastructure, and it's all financed by Road Safety Innovation Fund. They're providing the grant to create the VR simulation, I guess. Right, so that was spatialsource.com or right, vrscout.com, yet again, vrscout.com, November the 10th here. VR technology being used in de escalation training for the police. This is in America, where I guess they probably need it, particularly. Um, the idea is to put police officers in scenarios where um, they may perceive there to be a threat, whether there is or not, etc., and basically avoid teach them how to avoid confrontation. Especially as we know these days, in some cases, confrontations are being started by the police as opposed to the other, you know, the people they're confronting, for want of a better word. Um, you could almost say that stuff like this is a bit late now, but it can't help, I guess. Um, this is police officers operating out of Strasbourg in Virginia, so it is American. But when I first read this, I thought of Germany. Um, it puts you in the officer's shoes and then in the other person's shoes and gives you different perspectives. It's generally geared towards de escalation, so it's not about shoot, don't shoot, or anything like that. It's about being able to recognize and then being able to talk. In other words, crisis intervention. Um, I could, well, it's a good thing. Um, Arguably, it's the sort of thing that a few individual used on individuals may not be enough to quell what sort of what I have mixed feelings about this. When society has got a real problem which involves bulk some slices of population and stuff, a lot of the problem is that procedural and behavior and things like that, because which would be maybe unacceptable, actually becomes viral, and by doing so becomes acceptable. And I don't see individual training necessarily, in small ways, as it were, making an impact on that. I think there's a much more larger um, kind of mindset change required. But anyway, one, every little bit helps, I suppose. So that report is at vrscout.com. Right, back to Vroom. Vroombers. I've got a lot of rooms coming up. I don't know why. I think I picked up a size subscription to them and they're reporting a lot. Right, can VR really become the film industry's future? Well, there's a bit like the earlier post about whether, VR will be in the future of animation. But this is much more about the film industry in general. Um, it's a discussion post, really. VR can't replace Can, but it will play host to Can XR. VR can't replace movie going, but it has hosted premiere screenings and QAs for films that have been scheduled to play at cancelled festivals. VR can't replace filmmaking, but it's a platform for storytellers finding new ways of exploring their medium. Nothing in VR can capture the emotional solidarity of participating in a protest, sorry, or a civil duty of venturing to the ballot box, but it can supplement aspects of society in desperate need of places to gather and to think out loud. Sorry. Um, Forget Fortnite, that 3D commercial monster designed to appeal to fans of first person shooters under the age of 12. I have seen the future and it lies within the headset. Oh, there you go, James. Yeah, I
Okay.
would suspect it will lie within some brands of headsets at least at some point. Yeah, they tend to have a look at a few things here, including some of the disreputable, in my opinion, companies. Uh, and they even give a photograph of a disreputable. So let's
That was your
here.
Oculus Go that you just went past
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but it's disreputable because I've now decided that
Hmm.
people have
Hmm.
hawked it to me are disreputable. Love a virtual world. Okay, some movies to play in now. I'm not going to do that, obviously. Um, okay, it's all in the title here. Can virtual reality or VR, can VR really become the film industry's future? And actually, they sound like they conclude no, as an absolute, but they're looking at different methods there. So that's VRROOM dot BUZZ. Right, we're moving to VentureBeat now. And this one's very interesting. Upland, right, is a virtual asset trading thing. And what's interesting about this is that they're using Tilia Pay, and apparently Ebby was saying quite a few people are. Um, Tilia Pay is owned by Linden Labs, who obviously own Second Life and a few other things. And Tilia Pay is really all the economic activity in Second Life, which has more or less been shifted to Tilia Pay. It's like a financial sort of system, and they um, that system, buying virtual goods and all that sort of stuff, is open for other people um, to contract them to use, so to speak. So you don't. Second Life isn't the only platform now using Tilia Pay. This Upland, for example, is a platform that already do that as well. Upland is not a virtual world, from what I gather. It is simply a virtual asset trading company. But they've chosen Tilia Pay, which is Second Life's payment network, to do it. It means that you'll be able to acquire real world properties in Upland's virtual world and then sell them for a profit that comes back to you in real cash. And we've let me see. With Palo Alto, California based Upland, the same game has been updated with technologies such as blockchain and non fungible, yes, and again, tokens. The company sees this as the beginning of a metaverse, a universe of different virtual worlds that are all interconnected. And, uh, right. That's interesting. Okay. Well, you can find out about more of this connection here. I've suddenly just seen the link that I want to click on and I want to do it live. Metaverse conference. Dean Beat, our next game event, focuses on growth in the metaverse. Right, this is VentureBeat again. VentureBeat.com, which is where the previous article was too. This is posted on October 23rd, which is a while ago. Um, Right, can't find the. It seems they're having what they call a metaverse conference about interconnecting virtual worlds, and it did say January, but yeah, January 27th. This is interesting. They're going to have an event called Into the Metaverse. It will take place on January 27th, or day two of another event, basically, with speakers from across games, film, venture investment, and big platform companies. Um, Big speakers include Uber Geeks, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney, Nvidia, of course. Oh, and Fair Rosedale will be there. Yeah, um, that'd be interesting. Um, right, well, I'm not going. This is something that interests me a great deal about what the future, not only what the future will hold, but um, the underlying protocols and things like that, and dealing with certain people who seem to think they're going to monopolize the planet, let alone the metaverse, in the future. So, yeah, I'll have to see about that. Um, Sorry, I'm doing all the things I should not be doing when I'm live, including quickly grabbing that picture. Right. Okay. So this is interesting. The site you want here is venturebeat.com. Um, this article Dean beat their next game event, focusing on growth in the metaverse, basically. Um, that was October 23rd. Whereas, um, how do you go back in this blasted browser? Okay, sorry, I'm going to reload the previous page this way. Here we are. So this is also VentureBeat.com, as I said, but this is same author, in fact. This is posted November the 10th, which was midweek this week. And we didn't really need that, did we? Whoever the editors here are. Ah, dear. I hope he's on top there and somebody pushes him off. All right, moving on, moving on. There we go. Right, the Pentagon. Yes, them. The Pentagon is eyeing more advanced VR and AR headwear. This is another post at Vroom, VRROOM dot BUZZ. Um, Technology improvements driven by the commercial sector are expected to yield virtual and augmented reality goggles that solve many of the problems associated with headsets being used by the US military. So naturally, the military are looking to the commercial sector to upgrade their kit because you can't have commercial sector kit being better than the military kit, can you? That goes without saying. So anyway, they haven't gone on with anything new of their own, so they're going to be eyeing the commercial sector. Interesting, that interesting. Anyway, you'll find that at Vroom, Vroom Buzz. Right, God, only a bit to go now, so let's hopefully be wrapping up soon. Um, okay. Study shows that VR has a positive impact during lockdown. This again, yeah, this site is all you need to do from now on. If you want to remember a link, is think vroom. There's
Okay.
an awful lot of links are heading to the vroom. Yeah, just rev up your motorbike and vroom to the vroom. Never mind. Study shows positive impact during lockdown. Basically, immersive technology in its various forms may well be keeping users sane um, uh, during the pandemic. Having access to an extensive array of VR technology, escape dreary reality, using VR to hang out with friends, go to concerts, play games, and visit parts of the world actually has a positive effect on your level of happiness. Um, because it's putting a damper on traveling and holiday plans and family gatherings, concerts, and everything else. Um, this apparently features some Italian researchers. They worked with 400 participants over 3 months as for an in-depth study. Users were encouraged to view 360 video and photos of other countries, visit virtual gardens and beaches, spend time with other VR users in VR chat Mozilla hubs, and isolate themselves in a virtual location referred to as the secret garden to reflect privately. And yep, more about the research. I went. I've seen
Your favorite.
yeah, that's an old news item.
Mm-hmm.
They've apparently VR's impact on positivity isn't limited to humans. Heck, even cows are happier in VR. I remember that was a year
Yeah.
ago or
Yep.
more, but that was an article. Apparently, yeah, to keep cows happy while we do whatever we do to cows, we just put a headset on them. I love it. Snapshots of VR chat and snapshots of big screen here. Um, right. Okay, there was something else about big screen. this week, but I don't think it's here. Um, Yeah, big screen is like you can go in there and with your avatar and share it's like a cinema where you go to with other avatars and share what you're looking at. I think using a headset, although it may work on 2D screens too. Okay, so that's a Vroom, of course. Vroom, I'm just saying Vroom from now on. Right. This is also vrfocus.com. B Haptics launches pre-orders for Tat Suit X Series haptic vests, VR Focus. There was another post today on this, pretty much exactly the same thing, so I didn't want to post both of them. I think it's just an update on funding or something that the post today was. Anyway, these are jackets, sort of tactile suits and whatever, and uh, it's been one of the more consumer-friendly ways to add body feedback. Almost time to make way for not one but two new models with pre-orders for Series X going live today, which was, of course, a few days ago now. I forget which day. Um, and these are the sort of jackets or whatever. I'm actually surprised at this. Well, maybe not. I don't know. The original tat suit is making way for two variants. The entry level one is 300 US dollars, and the X40 will be 500 US dollars, which actually, well, it depends on how much of the haptic power it's got, in my opinion. But if it works, and has that sounds cheap for the price. Yeah, you get a variety of body types from chest size, etc. Biggest difference between the two models is the haptic feedback. Um, the cheap one uses X15 motors, whilst which has eight motors on the front, motors on the rear, while the expensive one has 40 motors, supplying a more tactile response. So, if the novelty of your headset is worn off and you want to extend the immersion to a jacket, looks like B Aptics have a tat suit waiting for you. And they do have a little video there, 36 seconds. Why not? Well, there we go on that one. Right, so more about that at vrfocus.com, vrfocus.com. Okay, this is a post at Medium by a user called Andy Films. And yeah, well, they got their own opinion, I suppose. The problem with VR is not the tech, i.e., technology, it's the people. This is an opinion piece, as you can probably gather. Like any healthy, normal human being, I often obsess over public perception of virtuality. There's no end to the antagonism that VR seems to inspire. Most of the arguments are shallow and misleading, but what interests me is not the arguments themselves, but the reasoning that leads to them. Um, yeah, so I'm not going to give away the opinion of the opinionator here. You can read it for yourself if you think you might agree with that piece of opinion. There's quite as I say, it's a Medium, which is a reading site. That looks like about 10 minutes or something. They normally tell you here. Um, no, they don't in this case. Okay, the site you want here is Andy Films at Medium. So it's ANDYFILMS and then dot MEDIUM dot and then com. And it looks like my last of the journal links for this week. Right, we're back with AR Post again. So it's arpost.co. And competition in mixed reality, that's the MR business there, glasses market to heat up with photon lens. Okay, meet photon lens. Well, that's something. um, it's kind of interesting. It looks like the sort of thing I could wear. It's not a headset, right? But it seems to come with controllers, which is rather odd. So it's more than just glasses. You appear to have these controllers go with it. If the photos anything to go by anyway. Um, uh, World Conference in Nanchang, a partnership between a UK startup, Photon Lens, and Shanghai AR hardware company Shadow Creator was announced. Shadow Creator already makes mixed reality glasses for Pacific markets, and the partnership is specifically designed for co-designing a modified Honghu MR glasses model for consumer use in additional regions. Photon Lens itself will be focusing primarily on Europe and North America for initial sales. And the philosophy behind Photon Lens is to make everyday consumers' lives more fun, enriching, and healthier with XR technology. And okay, the disappointing, considering that's the product, the slightly disappointing thing is it says the price range for the device will be between 500 US dollars and 1,100 US dollars. Now that is a big between. A sort of a $500 version and a $700 version, or so Apple's pricing structure kind of thing. Fine, but a variable that starts at 500 and moves up to 1,100 does seem to be a big variable. It will depend on when people decide to buy, which controllers they want to use, and whether they want any additional peripherals, such as an additional battery pack. The lower end of the price scale is comparable to normal glasses. Meanwhile, the upper end of the price range is well below the cost of the Nreal developer kit, um, with prices on an anticipated consumer model still not public. So could be competition for Nreal, um, since we don't really know the full prices. When all these things are out and the prices apparent, we might have a better idea. I must say, price unknown. I'd been rather excited by a post I've been reading about the Nreal um, glasses. Anyway, right, another MR consumer product to look forward to. Okay, well, that's it. So we've had VR and XR and all the rest of it, and that final post is about MR, but in the end, we
We
are.
are.
We are indeed. James,
Yeah.
we are still awake, I hope. Have you any
Yeah.
thoughts on all that?
Well, I was just wondering if when you're talking about the Slinky, the toy, and
Oh
the
yes.
technology based on that, I just wondered if you remembered
Yeah.
the Slinky song. Did you have a Slinky song? Uh,
No, no. In fact, years ago when they came out, I don't think I had one, but at some point I've got one on the shelf here, which I must have picked up at some point, thinking, "Oh, I should have one of them." It's like a Rubik's cube. I never had one, but I've probably got one now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just think because I found one and thought I better have it. No, not really.
Okay.
I don't actually. I mean, the real magic of those things was having a suitable staircase that they could, climb down, so to
Right, right.
speak.
Yep.
And I never really had a private staircase to play around with.
Ah,
All
right.
my flats have been bungalow style, one flat, one story,
Yeah. Yep.
and you really need a staircase to play with a slinky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have done it now and again. I've got one somewhere, and as I say, I know what they do because I've done it.
Okay. And then my only other
Um,
thought was one article was saying, what is it going to take people to want to get into VR? And I think, just the the fact that you don't need to put on your makeup and comb your hair to attend a meeting. If we can get
well,
that,
yeah,
we can communicate that idea, we could maybe make some progress on that front.
yeah. Actually, there's I have to give a little plug here for something I downloaded in the week. It's a beta. Um, I keep getting these sort of add-on things for Zoom and whatever. And there's a couple that actually make an avatar for you so you can go on a Zoom call and use an avatar to do the talking and have a fancy background so you
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have to worry if you've got any clothes on or whatever. But there's a new one. It's called it loads as a virtual camera. It's called Expression Camera. Begins with an X rather
Okay.
than an E.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure. I'd have to check out where it is. I haven't got it on in my well, I downloaded it basically, and it works very well indeed. I took a photograph of Statue of Liberty, right? The top of the head,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you load that photograph into the camera, and it also works with your existing camera. What was happening is I was talking like on Zoom, and it was the Statue of Liberty's mouth was moving in time with my voice.
Okay. So like a deep fake type of thing.
Yeah. So instead of actually, so what I can actually do is I can create an ideal Photoshop of me in profile with a decent background or whatever. I can load that into the expression camera, and it doesn't matter what it doesn't work with defaults or anything like that. It will work with any picture you give it, providing it presumably can find a face or something to animate. And then like the lip sync that I've got here in Sansar is just
Mm-hmm.
the same as that, except that it's obviously I'm not the Statue of Liberty here, nor am I my real self. But on a Zoom call, I could actually use a photo of my real self, and people watching me would think it was me talking to them for sure, for real, because they'd recognize my face, they'd see my lips moving in time with my voice, and if the background was a bit weird, they'd probably just assume it was a virtual background. But they wouldn't know that it doesn't look, like I'm an avatar.
Yeah.
So I could be sitting here naked like I normally am.
Yeah.
And yes, I could be on a Zoom call where people are seeing me ostensibly for real, but I just happen to be using a photo where I've got some kit on.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah. So it's the same as using an avatar, but using a real photograph. And I was just astonished because it doesn't, unlike some of these avatar builders and things,
Mm-hmm.
there didn't seem to be any lag in the lip movement. And what astonished me is how it instantaneously um, animated the face of whatever you threw at it. Like the Statue of Liberty's face, right,
Mm-hmm.
is obviously not human in the first place. But I mean, it wasn't just the lips, going clock, clock, clock. It looked like the statue was talking.
Yep.
And not very convincingly, because the statue's a statue and not a person. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and it seemed to me remarkable that it actually did it so quickly. So if you folks are interested in that kind of thing, check out Expression Camera. It's Expression, starting with an X, no E. And you can if you once you find the site, you can. I think I know where they appear. They're in Product Hunt, which is a daily site newsletter,
Mm.
and that's where I got it. And there was actually another post on Friday, I think, saying that they've been wildly successful after their day on Product Hunt, and telling everybody that masses of people had downloaded it and praising it. So I would add my name to the praising it list. I would indeed.
Cool.
All right. Okay. So um, I guess that's it.
Is that it? All
I guess
right.
that's it. 21:14. Well, it's been 2 hours, but we're not doing too badly this time.
Yep. Just
I'm,
about
I'm
two.
learning.
Right.
I'm learning the art of avoiding rabbit holes
All right. Yep.
and spending less time on posts, which half the time just speak for themselves anyway. So yeah, all very good.
Good.
And where's the button? Can't find the button for. Oh,
The
there we are.
button for
Clear all
what?
that. Clearing the list. So
Okay.
I've now got an empty list ready and waiting for next week's
Excellent.
show. Next week's show. Come on, go away. There we are. Am I enjoying Yoink? I don't know. Apparently, I have something called. Oh, I don't know. Not now. Not now. Right. Sorry, I have a program called Yoink, and it wants to know if I'm enjoying it, but I can't remember what it is and where it
Right,
is.
right.
Right. Very good. Very good. Right. Okay. Well, I think we can sign off unless you've
Sounds
got
good.
anything
Yep.
else
No,
to say. Yeah.
I think that works.
Um, we will return, of course, same time, same place. Probably everything much the same next week. And in the meantime, we will wish you stay safe and have a good week. And until we have a bit more news about MR and AR and XR and VR, I will have to remain
We
yours
are.
truly,
Oh,
yours truly,
truly.
we
We
are.
are.
Okay, folks, have a very good week and stay safe. We will see you next time round. Bye for now. We are indeed.
Hmm.